Hi, I'm at the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan, and I'm going to go into the museum. It is a large museum, so rather than videoing everything in there, I'm just going to visit highlights of things that I see, and then I will just put those videos all together here. I'm not going into Deerfield Village. I've been there a couple times, but it looks like it's going to rain today, so I'm just going to visit the museum itself. So I'll go ahead and end this video right here, and see you in the one I post right after this. This is the entrance to the museum. You come over there, come in from over there, you get your ticket. It was I think $46 for just the museum, and then a $10 parking fee. And gift shops there, but you head down this hallway, and this will take you into the museum and also out to the village. Okay, so I'm gonna end this video now, and I'll post the next one right after this. Add is that they do have a Ford factory tour here also, and they have different packages, so you can see the museum or the museum and Deerfield Village, or all three of them. And they also do have a large screen movie experience. Of course, each one has a different price, but they do have packages on them. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this back on pause. And there is pricing for some of the different things. The screen should change here in a minute with the individual pricing. And they do have a ride pass in the village where you can ride on a steam train, a Model T, the carousel, and some horse-drawn vehicles. Last time I was here, I walked around the village. It's a good walk, and some membership prices. And then there's general admission. So my admission was $40 and a $10 fee for parking. Okay, and we pause this, and we'll continue on. We're still walking to the museum. It's a long ways. You can see part of the museum through there. So, but we'll be there soon. And we'll pause. We're coming into the museum. This is a transportation area. Got some different locomotives. Over there, some cars. They do have the limousine that Kennedy was in Dallas when it was shot. They also do have the chair that President Lincoln was sitting in Ford's Theater. But, let's just take a look down this way. And the bus also that Rosa Parks was in. So we'll be seeing all those, and I'll just pause in between the different displays and do videos of things that I think are interesting. Nothing historic on the steam engine, but it's just the size of it is unbelievable. That's amazing. They do have a lot of school groups here today. So it's a lot more crowded than the last time I was here. According to the sign, was manufactured from 1792 to 1802. And it's a chariot made by William Ross. So pretty neat looking. A Bugatti.
Oh, I forgot.
And a 1937 Cord 812 convertible. There's a Continental. Got an Edsel over there. 36 Lincoln Zephyr. An 1899 Duria Trap. And a 1914 Detroit Electric Model 47 Brogan. Pretty cool. Interesting vehicle. It's a 1974 Warrior concept car. And it said McKinley Thompson designed this car for basic but dependable transportation in developing nations. He built his prototype using the chassis and rear engine from a Renault 10 sedan. Thompson fabricated the body from composite plastic material that was durable and buoyant, helping the car to cross waterways in rough country. He called the car Warrior because it could conquer time and distance for its users. Thompson took his proposal to several car companies and even considered its forming own, but could not interest automakers or inventors. I think that's a pretty cool looking car. And here we have an old Coles Express truck, 1952 Federal 45M tractor trailer. I'm sure everybody's familiar with the racing family, the Unsters. This was a truck they had, and this is Jerry Unster Motor Company, Albuquerque, New Mexico. When I was in Albuquerque, I did visit the location of their original garage. I've got a photograph of it right there. And this is the 1956 Ford F100. Got some great stuff here. A 1935 Stagecoach travel trailer. It said Henry Ford gave this trailer to his friend Charles Lindbergh in 1942.
I do remember it.
Somebody decided to come shoot it up.
Very interesting. Go Bluebird number 1, built 1927. Says this could be America's oldest surviving school bus. Wow, that's neat. Pretty tiny compared to today's school buses. Of course, it's based on a Ford chassis, which nothing more fitting than having a Ford inside Ford Museum. And right behind it is a 1906 Rapid bus. Boy, that'd be something to be riding in cold, rainy weather. And more trains. Pretty fascinating place. Really interesting. This is a 2016 Ford GT clay model. So it's made out of clay. And I've always wanted to see one done out of clay. And that's actually how they come up with their final shaping on the automobiles. That's pretty neat. GT that was raced in 24 Hours Le Mans. And another GT over there. There's a clay GT again. 1956 Chrysler 300B. Remains of these remains are from one of the worst crashes in Indy 500 history. It says on the first lap of the 1973 race, David Saltwater's car hit the outside wall, exploded and overturned. He suffered burns and injuries to his hands, but he recovered and returned to racing in 1974. Wow. This car is Goldenrod, 1965, and it held the land speed record for 25 years. That's 409.277 miles per hour. That'd sure be fun to drive. It has 2,400 horsepower and 6,700 RPM. I don't see what's powering it. There's a pretty amazing looking Ford Fiesta ST. Rally car. I think it's nice that even though this is Henry Ford Museum, that as well as Fords, they do have other makes and models in here. They even talk a little bit on one of the displays about the founder of Chevrolet. I'm just fascinated by campers, and here's some early examples. This is a Gilkey tent trailer. It says it's built about 1927. I guess that's the Forerunner, the pop-up. And here we have a cup, grill, pan, and coffee pot. And I've seen one of those one time. They all slide together into just like a box form. And here's a 1949 Airstream Trailwind. Pretty neat looking. And of course, here we have a 1959 Volkswagen Westfalia. It's a tourist cabin from about 1936. Looks pretty comfy. Got a bed in there, wood stove, nice table. About the size of an outdoor garden shed. And just some information on vacations. And, oh, excuse me. This is a Holiday Inn room, about 1965.
Remember? We used to always stay at Holiday Inns when we went on vacation. Remember that? And Howard Johnson's? Oh my gosh.
Pretty interesting. Sign from 1952 to 1982. Car, a 1955 Chevrolet Corvette Roadster. And prior to 1955, they were powered by V6s, so this is the first year they came out with the V8, 195 horsepower. Hang on, baby. Folding bicycle. And I believe that's a Segway. Of course, motorcycle over there. Texaco fuel truck. 1939 Dodge Airflow. Here's an old Texaco service station. Back when they came out and pumped your gas for you. And they did auto repairs. And there's a 97 General Motors EV1 electric coupe. And of course, every service station had the bathrooms. I remember these like this. You had to go inside and get the key. Temporarily out of service. My guess is they don't want anybody using that one. There's a beetle bug. And I have a friend, you know who you are. She'd get very upset if I didn't include at least a Volkswagen in here. And I know she's going to ask me if I snipped the inside to see if it had the old Volkswagen smell, but can't get to it. 1949 license plate on it. They really do have quite a lot of cool cars. There's a Corvair. My brother is a big Corvair fan. He had one in high school, and he's currently got another one. It says that is a 1949 Volkswagen. So there, she'll be happy now and I won't have to listen to her. It's one of Gary Ormsey's top fuel dragsters. Drag racing is my favorite motorsport. I used to have a front engine dragster. And Ohio George's over there. That's his gasser. Let's go take a look at that. And George started racing in 1953. This is a 1933 Willys gasser. He built this in, I think the late 50s is when he bought it. I'd like to have that. Very nice car. Have here. It's a Ford. I'm gonna guess a Mustang concept car. Yeah, it's got Mustang badging on it. Let's go around and take a look at the sign. What a beautiful car. '62 Mustang Roadster. Yes, a concept car. That is sharp looking. And here we have an old diner. And great McDonald's sign. A&W root beer. Food smells good. They're actually serving from the diner. So I'm gonna go have lunch. See you after lunch. Got to get a seat inside the diner rather than out in the dining area. And just like I remember from my youth.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
Welcome to Lemmy's. I'm Angela, and I'll be your server today.
Okay, great. I'm gonna go ahead and see what I want here.
Pictures, okay? Give me one moment.
Okay. Get a seat inside the actual diner instead out in the dining area. Very neat.
You okay?
Here's the menu.
You want a shake?
And I'm gonna try the cucumber and tomato with dill cream cheese sandwich.
All right, chocolate shake, please.
I've got the Coke in a little bottle there.
Table one. Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and eat. I'll include a picture of the sandwich when it comes. Here it is, my dream car, a 1959 Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz. Look at those tail fins. Someday I'm gonna own one of these. Love those fins. Now we're going to take a look at some aircraft. Ford Trimotor. This is the second airplane that I've ever ridden in. When I was growing up, my dad had a private pilot's license, and he had an Aeronca Champion, and we were at an air show, and they had this plane there. Well, not this plane, but this model plane, and I actually got to take a ride in it. 1928 Ford 4ATB Trimotor. I know when I was a teenager there were 3 of them, I think, left flying. One of them was Great Lakes Airways, I believe, had it. I don't know how many are left now, the original that are in flying condition. And I do think that maybe back in the 70s or 80s that they remade some of these. I'm not sure on that, but it's just something I remember reading. But fantastic aircraft. And this is a 1927 Boeing 40 B-2. Far cry from the aircraft that Boeing builds today. The replica of the 1903 Wright Flyer, and it was built in 2003. And that's the plane that started it all. This bicycle is a Rambler bicycle. This is a Rambler bicycle, and it was built in the late 1800s. And this is a replica one that the Wright brothers had built. So they were having trouble with their planes due to airflow and stuff. So they had added this wheel on the front with fins on it so they could study the effects of airflow on their flaps and such. And I was down to Dayton a couple months ago and did go through the Wright brothers bicycle shop and saw the field where they did their first flight. Quite interesting. And this is an early helicopter, 1939, bought Skorsky. Another early plane there. Here where kids can make paper airplanes. They have directions on different ones, and then they have a testing center here for your paper airplane. Like the kids are having quite a bit of fun. There's a wing walker. That's a Curtis Jennings, 1917. And this plane is one of Catherine Stinson. So she wanted to be a fighter pilot in World War I, but being a woman, she wasn't able to. So her family actually started a training school teaching young pilots tricks of the trade. And she toured the country doing different stunts and stuff in her plane. And I've read that at times she could make up to $1,000 a day. And now they look at her plane. The folks that joined the air show. And this is a 1925 Fokker F7 tri-motor, and this diorama is depicting the race to be the first one at the North Pole. So the gentleman kneeling looking at the map is Admiral Richard Byrd, and two members of his team, Floyd Bennett looking down, and then the third person is Brent Balshin. I think they really did a good job on this diorama. But just another example of a Ford tri-motor. Josephine Ford Byrd Arctic Expedition.
Say nothing of the ever-dreaming Captain Smith was a thrill. It is a thrill worth reaching civilization for what along. And outcome
These are the skis used in the trimotor. And they do actually have the plane here that Bird flew up there. And if I find that, I'll take a picture of it. It's a large museum. But it said it's on the in their Heroes of the Sky exhibit. So we'll see if we can find that. Model of Lindbergh's Ryan NYP, the plane that he used to fly across the Atlantic. This is a nice model. This is showing the outside finished part.
What's the matter?
And then a cutaway on this side.
Too far apart.
So you can see how the plane's built.
Return to the instruments. Yes.
You can see up there the seat
Right there you go.
in the cockpit area.
Must have been looking at some stars.
And he couldn't see out the front of the plane because that big box in front of him, that was actually an large fuel tank. And then they had the control panel on top of that. And then over here is a full working replica of the plane. This is a 1927 Ryan. And it's a B-1. It was modified for the 1957 movie Spirit of St. Louis. And this is Jimmy Stewart actually purchased this after the movie.
Or a strip of low flower.
A little interesting there. This is a 1929 Lockheed Vega. This is what Amelia Earhart was flying when she disappeared. And this diorama is kind of just showing, got an announcer there and Amelia before her flight. And it is dark in this room, so I apologize, can't see a whole lot of the plane. But that's a replica of hers. Northwest Airlines. Not as big as today's airliners, but definitely a big plane. Is a little plaque on the floor. First flight, Wright Brothers, Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, December 7th, 1903, 10:35 a.m. Endurance 12 seconds, distance 120 feet. And let's just follow that and see just how long 120 feet is. And there it is, 120 feet. So if we look back and you see that circle light on the floor there, where those people are walking through, that is 120 feet. Gallery dealing with innovation. It's got some really big pieces of machinery in. There's this stationary steam engine from 1906. And some of this stuff is just huge. This is a Corning glass ribbon machine. Look at the size of that. An old steam engine. Another one. The size of these are just unbelievable. Play on different pieces of hardware and tools. More huge machinery. That one actually takes up 2 floors. There's a tower for power lines. 1811 pumping station. goes all the way over to here. Huge. So according to the sign, this is a Mora engine, 1821, and it says that old technologies survive long after newer ones are invented. If a machine is economical, it is kept. It says since the owners of this Newcomb engine fueled it with waste coal, they had no need for more efficient, more complex engines. Although this engine was obsolete technology when it was built, it nonetheless worked well and was still being used in 1929, so over 100 years of use. Now, it did the job they needed it done efficiently, so they kept it. Interesting weapons display they have, firearms, accessories, some handmade pistols and rifles. More handmade rifles. Some different types of powder horns. Factory-made rifles. Some shotguns. Boy, that bottom one's a long one. And some more shotguns. The room they have for different projects for the kids. There's some coloring, got some Lincoln logs over there, some building blocks. Come up with a display of farming equipment. It's a 1925 McCormick Deering Farmall. The cream separator. Gin grain. Oh, here's something. Here's something I remember from my younger days, and they're still around. The Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. Look at that. Go around and see what year this one is. Yellow Band Wieners. They still have Wienermobiles, and I read that they hire college students to drive them around the country throughout the summer. It says the first Wienermobile was created in 1936, and this version was built in 1952. Based on a Dodge truck chassis and powered by a 350 cubic inch Chevrolet V8 engine. There's a Wiener whistle and little Oscar plastic rings. Wiener wristwatch. So, I don't know what happened to mine. I did have a whistle from the Wienermobile. Came through our town when I was a small tyke. Well, that's pretty interesting. It's just a small garden tractor. Use that in your backyard. Maybe do a little mowing. That is a 1916 Avery steam tractor. Kind of fun to have in the backyard. Caterpillar Model T10 tractor, 1929. And now we're going to enter with Liberty and Justice for All. This is where the Rosa Parks bus is over there. and then the chair that Lincoln was sitting in when he was assassinated. So, two of the main things I came to see. George Washington's folding camp bed. This is the actual bed. And it said folding camp bed 1775 to 1780, used by George Washington. As the war wound down, Washington used this bed specially made for him on his tour of the battlefields in New York and New England. As that all folds up into that chest. That's amazing, the condition that it's in. And this is his camp chest from 1783, made by William Chappell, London, England. As the war wound down, Washington used this mess kit specially made for him on his tour of battlefields in New York and New England. Remarkable condition. And here it is. This is the actual chair that Abraham Lincoln was sitting in when he was assassinated. I think it's in pretty good condition. It was rumored for years that the dark stains on that were from Lincoln's blood, but they did analysis and found out that it was just body oils and grease from hair and such. Well, that's the main item that I came to see. Let's go around the other side and take a look at it. And from I read earlier today, this chair was purchased from auction for Henry Ford, and I forget what year, but I believe it was like $2,400 in today's money, $44,000. But they said now it's absolutely priceless. There's no way to put a value on it. What a great piece of history. And then the bed that Lincoln died in is in Chicago, at the museum in Chicago. Like a backsman. So after the assassination, the government had confiscated the chair for evidence in a trial, and then it sat in the Smithsonian storage for a long time. And then Mrs. Ford, not Henry Ford, but Mrs. Ford from the Ford Theater requested to get the chair back, and then she sold it along with the other furniture. This is the actual bus that Rosa Parks was riding when she refused to give up her seat. They told me that the bus is about 70% complete. Anything used to restore it was taken off a bus the same year, same model. It does have all the same advertising on it, the same paint job. You can go onto the bus. We'll do that in a minute. And this fourth window, this is where Rosa was sitting. And we'll go inside and get a closer look at that. Bus 2857. Please have exact fare ready. This is a little box you would put your fare in. The driver's seat. The seats, okay. And this seat right here is where Rosa Parks was sitting. Looking at an interesting bit of history right there. This is the rest of the bus. Got the two people seats to get to the back here, and much larger seats. And that is a Rosa Parks bus. Collection of presidential limousines. The first one is a 1972 Lincoln. This was used by Nixon and Reagan. It was used as a refuge for Reagan after he was shot in 1981 by John Hinckley. And this car, like all presidential limousines after Kennedy's assassination, is heavily armored. It's been built with a solid roof, no longer removable roofs. There are sunroofs on top, so if the president wants to be seen, he can stand up and wave out of those. Beautiful car, got all the lights and the flags on it. Bicentennial plates. And from the outside, except for the back, it just does look like a regular limousine. And the handle here for the Secret Service and a bumper. So the bumper folds down, so the Secret Service can stand on it, folds up when not in use. And the same with the handle, folds up and down. The next limousine we have is attached to a great tragedy for the nation. And this is a car that John Kennedy was riding in when he was assassinated. It is being displayed with the top on it. You see a picture here showing it on that fateful day with the top off of it. And you can see some of the modifications with that. I'm not sure what these are on the hood. Maybe some little lights. There's some spotlights. They have places here for Secret Service agents to stand. The removable top. Now here, instead of a foldable bumper, it just has a step bumper for them to stand on and permanent handles that don't fold. Of course, some radio antennas and stuff in there. And back seat where President Kennedy and Jacqueline were sitting, and then Governor Connolly. A lot of tragedy. Let's go down and look at a couple other presidential limousines. Quite a museum. If you do come to visit, expect to spend a good afternoon here, 3 or 4 hours, and then probably another couple hours if you visit the village out back. It's a lot of walking there too, so a whole day. So the village, what Henry Ford had done was collect historical buildings from around the country, like the Wright brothers' house, the house he grew up in, his first automotive factory, and placed out back in the museum. Quite a large village. A lot of history there. He's got Edison's laboratory, quite a few buildings from history. So very interesting. Well worth a trip here. Okay, and this is Dwight Eisenhower's bubble top, 1950 Lincoln. And it said this was a new era, and the old fleet of presidential cars was looking decidedly out of date. Truman first rode in this flashy convertible after it was delivered to the White House, along with 9 closed limousines in 1950. Says President Eisenhower later had the car fitted out with a removable plexiglass to allow him to see and be seen in bad weather. This bubble top soon became the name for the whole car. Another Lincoln. Quite interesting. It's got the bubble top there, so it's being displayed without the center section. Got the windscreen there, so when he's standing up, he's not getting hit in the face with bugs. I like the big white wall tires. US 1. All that black, and I don't see a scratch or ding in it. Really good restoration job. There's a latch, must be for the bubble top. And it looks some places for the back here, possibly for the Secret Service to stand, but I don't see any handles. And here's a picture of it without the top. I don't see anybody standing on the back of it. And, this is the next one. It's called the Sunshine Special. The first car expressly designed and built for a president, 1939 Lincoln. It says White House staff sent 5 pages of special instructions with the order for new presidential vehicle. And then even more security features were added in 1942 after Pearl Harbor was bombed. Other features in this custom-made car made it easier for President Roosevelt to get in and out since his legs had been paralyzed from fearsome and incurable disease of polio. What a classy looking car. I think I like this one better than the newer ones. This car's got some class. Look at them big running boards. See a little delamination of glass there. I imagine that's probably bulletproof glass. Appears to be a convertible top. And then on to the last presidential limousine that they have on display. And this is Teddy Roosevelt's Borgum, 1902 Borgum. And it says President Roosevelt was not fond of automobiles, rarely used one. He preferred the old-fashioned style horse-drawn carriages for public parades and outings. So this luxurious, I guess it's pronounced Born, this luxurious Born, 2 passengers could sit in privacy inside while the coachman out front drove the horses. It was designed closer to the ground than most carriages so passengers could easily get in and out. This carriage was not custom built. It was simply a sort of vehicle favored by people who wanted to show off their wealth and power. So very interesting. And there's a picture of it in use. Had said to look out for the large glass front window for passengers to look out, and a bench seat at the front for the coachman. Also said that William Taft, Woodrow Wilson, and Warren Harding and Calvin Coolidge during their administrations used this for household errands only. They don't know where it was made, so probably England.
Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt.
So it's a very interesting look at the presidential limousines. And I think that's pretty much. We've seen the whole museum. I'm going to walk around a little bit more. If I do see anything interesting, I'll add it to the end of this video. If not, thank you for watching. I know it's a long video, but a lot of information in it. And hope you had a great time. And talk to you later.